So this is the price valuation crypto experts make. And let's check this out if this is true. So if you have $6 of XRP now, will this be $1,500 in the future?
Feels like we get somebody new coming out and giving us a price prediction for XRP into the 4 digits. These people are not just the run of the mill. They've been building in the space for over a decade. And you start to wonder, do these people know something we don't? Is there information and data that we could look at today, right now?
Again, if we barely reach $4, maybe we could see this in the future when more people come buying in. But we're at such early stages that even pushing to $4 is going to be very hard, right? I'm really worried about that, actually seeing $600. But the funniest part is there's a YouTuber watching a YouTuber watching a YouTuber, right? Watching a YouTuber.
Predicting that a 95% approval rating is coming for an XRP spot ETF in the United States. So let's listen.
Like this will happen because if XRP ETF gets approved, so will other ETFs or vice versa, because other ETFs are going to get improved. Basically, XRP ETF is between them, and this is a huge win for XRP.
To this clip, and then I'm going to give you some facts and information.
In the US, 11 XRP ETF filings are pending with the SEC. And Bloomberg and analysts are now assigning a 95% probability that at least one will be approved. Well,
I mean, we already have the smaller ETFs approved, but the 11 XRP ETFs, I feel like probably most of them will be approved, like 9 or 10, because that's what happened with Bitcoin and that's what happened with Ethereum. And this is what really started the pump. And if they approved Ethereum and Bitcoin, why wouldn't they approve XRP? Now there's only 5% chance on the markets that Pepe will get approved for that reason. They haven't even filed an ETF, right? But Pudgy Penguins is one that's, potentially out there. And again, it's a US-based company. So that's why we would be seeing these ETFs coming on in big now that the lawsuit with SEC is over.
Well, during the night, I've been on the phone, Bank of America contacts again, and I'm saying 100% that these ETFs will be approved. 100%.
All right, so this guy has contacts, and they said that they believe it's going to be 100% be approved this year. So here is the significant updates that we've seen as far as the ETF's approval. SEC deadline timeline, multiple XRP spot ETF applications, including the Rex, Osprey, Grayscale, 21 shares, and Bitwise are under SEC review. The SEC's decision deadlines for these major filings is October 2025. Some expected the SEC to make a landmark ruling in July 2025, but recent updates indicates the agency delayed its decision, suggesting a final ruling is now likely by October 2025. Odds and market sentiment analysts and prediction markets now estimate a 95% to 98% chance of a spot XRP approval by the end of 2025. All right, so now let's go ahead and here is a clip that I played in a video that came out yesterday on my channel, but it speaks to a larger moment of where we are right now and what people are seeing, what investors are seeing on CNBC right now, the good things that are said about XRP. And then
again, being on mainstream media is always a good news. How many cryptocurrencies can be on mainstream media? Pepe is not. So being on a mainstream media like that, wow, that is crazy, right? There's millions and millions of people watching CNBC live, maybe hundreds of thousands, and just being mentioned is really, really good.
I'm going to get into all of these data points to show you where this is actually going to take us.
That Dom Chu has today's ETF Edge as advertised. Hey, Dom.
All right, so Scott, from adoption driven by Washington to a 10-year birthday coming later on this week, there's a lot going on in cryptocurrencies. Joining me now is Sal Gilberti, the president and CEO of Teucrium Trading. This is an interesting development. You're one of the firms out there that runs a slate of ETFs, but one of them is a levered fund tied to the value of a big cryptocurrency, and that's XRP. Just what can you tell us about how much investor interest there is in XRP and, of course, a levered instrument to it?
Well, thank you, Dom. There's enormous interest in XRP. They call it the XRP Army, and I realize they call it that for a reason. We launched this fund. It'll be 16 weeks tomorrow. And the money that's come in is quite extraordinary. Hundreds of millions of dollars have come in. It is our most successful fund. We're 16 years old today when I incorporated the company, coincidentally, and we've never seen a response like that.
How did you make the turn?
Like, the community is huge, and also I feel like it's gonna be for a lot of people easier to buy XRP, that they don't know how to buy it now. It's gonna be 10 times easier. So there's two positives here, and again, everyone is calling for it. Probably like they got 10,000 messages, they should approve it.
Because the slate of products you have are mainly agricultural based, and then you decide to venture out into cryptocurrency, specifically XRP. What was the thinking there?
Well, we had filed for Bitcoin before, and we do have crypto interests, and I'm an XRP enthusiast. And when I saw the opportunity to file and get it approved, and really not holding XRP itself, but holding the derivatives so that we could leverage it and give investors what they want. They clearly want some leverage. We got a great ticker, double XRP, XXRP, and it took off. It was a big...
These are already approved. So some of the XRP ETFs are approved already. They're trying to push for the more mainstream ETFs that most of these retail investors will buy, that we saw in 2021, right? So for the general audience.
Big hit immediately right out the door.
And if you could put on a forecasting hat as somebody who looks at the fund flows, looks at the industry, where do you think else in the crypto sphere is ripe for even more activity? All
right, we don't need to get into wherever else. So obviously there's a huge demand right now.
So yeah, I feel like a lot of people are calling for an ETF price because it would pump XRP, but it doesn't mean that they will buy the ETF. They will just buy it off their own exchange. But it is bullish though, right? It is, everybody wants it to get approved. That's why they're talking to them on Twitter, sending them an email, because it's going to pump the XRP price. They believe it's going to bump the XRP price. But I feel most of the people who buy ETFs are going to be the big corporations who see potential in XRP and don't want to hold it on a crypto exchange because they're mostly like, old-fashioned, or they feel safer holding an ETF because you can sell it basically directly to the bank. So these are the ones that really will buy XRP, and this could be millions and millions of volume. So I feel like that's where really they fail to mention that.
For people that are trading kind of stocks and these types of things and derivatives for these products. And so we know XRP is the #1 pick for institutions right now, right? Solana is like at 5 ETF applications. XRP spot is in other XRP products is well over 10. I think it's like 10 to 15 at this point. So there's a lot of interest right
That's also because there's way more trading volume on XRP than Solana
now circling. And so we actually have some data that we can look at as far as the Canadian spot ETF. So let's take a look at what the data on those ETFs have been over the last few weeks. So 3IQ Spot XRP ETF grew from 23 million in assets under management in only 3 days to surpassing 50 million assets under management by mid-July. This makes the largest XRP ETF in North America. The Canadian Spot XRP ETF market as a whole is relatively modest but growing, with the
it's probably way smaller than USA ETFs. That's where they're trying to go. USA ETFs, not Canadian. Because I feel like the Canadian ETFs are only available to people in Canada. And the biggest buying power who will buy it is probably in the US.
Totals suggesting an accounts under management or assets under management across all 3 products collectively approaching $100 million worth in the first month. So obviously the Canadian markets are much different from the American markets. There's a lot more money down here in New York and these types of places in the United States than there is in Canada, but there is overwhelming demand for this. So other institutions, right? Maybe even your BlackRocks and some of these bigger people are looking at the demand in Canada, and they can already probably, they have some really smart people that get paid a ton of money to tell them what they should or should not be doing. And I have to imagine had to have been some meetings recently saying, hey, there's a lot of demand for XRP products. We should probably line this up. Remember, BlackRock is the largest assets under management on the planet. If they want to get something done, all they need to do is apply for it, put a little bit of pressure, a phone call to a friend, and that thing will get approved in an instant.
Yeah, so I feel like it's 100% it's going to get improved. The thing is, how much are ETFs going to pump the price for XRP? I feel like it's way overvalued. It's same when people were saying we need a burn in 2021. So 2021, everybody was calling for a Shiba Inu XRP burn. And while did it help, was like a market movement, it's already like, if you want to buy out there an ETF, it's already priced in. And again, most people who want to buy XRP, they buy it through a crypto exchange, like the 99% get it from the crypto exchange. So what would really happen is the big news like Trump, and all these crypto bills, that is what will really push crypto forward. And I feel like these ETFs, they're already going to be set in stone. So yeah, they will help, but they might help, for 30 cents, 40 cents. But to really get to $10, there needs to be major bank partnerships that would really blow up. But other analysts suggest a range of 3 to 8.4 billion the first year if spot ETFs see institutional and retail adoption. Again, we are seeing maybe like 50 million in Canada. So who knows? The early inflows of the United States could reach 1 to 2.2 billion soon after launch. I feel like it could be like way less than that, right? Because depends on when it launches, what it launches. You could say anything, but really there's a lot of factors. And I feel like if USA said we're buying XRP, that would help XRP way more than these ETFs right now.
S status as of July 25, the SEC has not yet approved a spot XRP ETF. We already talked about the chances of this. And so early inflows estimated the United States could see about 1 to 2.2 billion soon after launch, even with conservative estimates for the XRP demand. Other analysts suggest about 3 to 8.4 billion in the first 12 months. Now, the 8.4 billion here, this was by JP Morgan analysts. I do think I remember that. And so I don't need to pull it up. So interesting, right? If we got 8.5 billion in the first year, that's very close to 10 billion. If we start to look at market cap multipliers, 100 to, let's say 500x, we are talking about a multi-trillion-dollar market cap for XRP. Let me show you what this is going to be looking like. So we scroll down here. We don't need to get any more updates. Let's go ahead and take a look at the actual hard data and the numbers. So on the left here, in the past, I've shown you multiple videos on market cap multipliers. This is inflows into XRP to change the market cap. So every $1 in inflows in the past has changed the market cap either 100x to 600x. That is
the issue. Is the more you want to change the XRP price, if you want to change it to like $1,500, you have to see way more money flowing in, right? So it's going to be harder and harder for XRP to do a 300x at this price point. It was way easier to go from 1 cent to $1 than it is now to go from $3 to let's say 300 or whatever, or 100. So I'm really hoping that this will help, but we have to be realistic about the prices.
It's been the norm. Okay, so let's look at that information. As of June 2025, XRP saw inflow to market cap multipliers around 538x to 647x. Those are the numbers right now. Now, as more value comes on chain, this number will be dramatically reduced. Right now, with Bitcoin at about $2.5 trillion market cap, they are still seeing a 70x multiplier. So into the first few trillions, at least for XRP, we are going to see some type of, very high and rare market cap multiplier. Now, if we look down here at the information, so
I feel like it would definitely help. What we need is just more people coming to crypto, right? If you have more people coming to Bitcoin and they feel like they missed out on Bitcoin, they're going to be buying XRP.
Circulating supply. There's also, banks, institutions, or treasury companies, or these ETF companies, they're going to be locking up that XRP as well. Most of it, I would imagine, for a time being. And if that can reduce the circulating supply, all of these numbers would get a little easier, right? If you can take, 10 billion or 20 billion out of circulation over the next few years, this could make all of this way easier. So here is $1 trillion market cap, all the way to 50 trillion, and what the prices for XRP would be. So at a $1 trillion market cap, we're talking about $16. 5 trillion, talking about almost $100 XRP. And of course, 50 trillion is that, close to $850 to $1,000 market cap.
The issue we have here, if we want to reach $16, you're definitely going to see people sell at that level. So this is like the inflows, but then there's also going to be outflows, right? So everybody's forgetting about that. XRP to $1,000 with ETFs could happen, but then you have them selling off as well. Just as about we reached 3.66, we saw people selling it off.
This person, I played this in a video that's already out today on Friday. This will come out on a Saturday probably. Do Kwok and Phil Kwok were being interviewed on this, kind of like stock kind of crypto program. And he gave a prediction for XRP of $1,000. Let me play it.
I know a lot of people have been asking for my price targets on XRP. And I think this is the first time I'll say it, but I think XRP is heading to $1,000 by 2030. So for me, it's, a super important project, and actually probably one of the most important projects out there at the moment.
Now, he could be saying this to get eyes on Easy A and his business. Absolutely. But this guy is incredibly smart. I showed you kind of where
I feel like once also when you get past $10, $15, it might take way easier to reach 100. As I was telling you, more money in the world is better. It's easier to reach those targets. And now more eyes on crypto, but we are going to need external help, not just XRP itself. We're going to need to see Bitcoin rise to 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, which 1 million I feel like is set in stone with so many of these billionaires buying in. But again, 3 million, it might take 25 years. You never know. And a lot of people will not wait 25 years to be multimillionaires. It's a lot of time. So here's where the issue comes, or maybe generational wealth to give it to their kids. That's the issue here. Yes, XRP can reach 750, but how long is it going to take? Is it going to take 30 years? Is it going to take 10 years? Is it going to take 5? Because I definitely don't think it will happen in 5 years.
This guy's background and kind of what schools he went to and in business schools. This is a
But I feel like he's right. Like if you wait a certain time, if you wait 30 years, 40 years, 750, I mean, like look at what happened with crypto in the last 10 years. Bitcoin went from $1 to 120,000. So why shouldn't XRP go to $3 to $750, right? It really makes you think how much crypto is really just a small thing for now.
Very intelligent person. I don't think he just says things to say things, right? He's not some type of influencer. He's a businessman in the crypto space, building, with XRP technology in the ecosystem and onboarding companies. He has
again, a great find though. Look at this, just 251 views, and Crypto Sensei found this on Twitter.
And so here's what he's saying. By 2025, you're talking about a 1.18 trillion $20 price tag for XRP. I mean, there are people in the XRP space like Jake Claver, who has placed bets against people in his own community saying that he thinks XRP could reach $750 in 2025. Now, I don't share Jake's optimism as far as a price target like that in such a short time span, but maybe Jake's seeing things that I don't know, or maybe Jake's doing it for views. I really can't tell you, but he has said time and time again, he sees a very high price for XRP. I'd imagine
$750 for XRP. Imagine how many millionaires would be made. And now imagine how far or how high and how many moments this could be $750 would be up for that time. If it was $750, I can guarantee you somebody would sell it in 13 seconds. Or somebody would have it set for, at $200 or something like that, right? An insane amount. And this is where it really makes you think. Like, if you want to have $750, that's 36 trillion. So basically, if you could pay off the entire US debt for the last 200 years if it had reached 750 by 2025. So that is too crazy for me. But again, $20, $15, we see it happen with Bitcoin. So why shouldn't XRP given its, fair chance to grow just like that?
If you wanted to go watch his content and to better understand his thought process, that's probably something that you should do. And so here's 2026, 2027, 28, 29, and 30. And here would be all the market caps and the price targets for XRP. Now, I can tell you a $500 XRP to $1,000 XRP, I could retire for the rest of my life. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who watch my content that would feel the same way. There's probably people that watch my content that could retire off a whole lot less.
If XRP is $1,000, it basically means that it is the new USA. It becomes the new USA. It owns basically